Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Now, in the biblical sense, the Bible talks about darkness as several symbolic meanings. It's a spiritual ignorance. Darkness represents the lack of understanding of knowledge. Sin and separation from God is associated with evil and the state of being apart from God. So what we find here, that darkness causes chaos. Darkness can signify disorder, hopelessness, God's presence, and without God, there is nothing but misery. Darkness is also a symbolic of not only misery, but adversity. The work of darkness are impure action. As defined, darkness can be partial, absent without light, symbolic of our political system. Psalms tell us the light is planted for the righteous and gladness for the upright in heart. America can only be made righteous by the obedience of Christ and live soberly and righteously the light of joy and gladness. One of Dr. Martin Luther King's last sermon that he preached at the cathedral, it was titled, "Remain Awake Through a Great Revolution." And the moral of his story, he talked about Rip Van Winkle. Rip Van Winkle went up in the Catskill Mountain and he slept for 20 years. So when he went to sleep, we had King George, I think the fifth, and when he woke up 20 years later, we had President George Washington. And so the moral of Dr. King's story is that we should not fall asleep in this great revolution of freedom. You see? And Dr. King used one script in the Bible, Revelation 16:15. Blessed is he who watches. And the end of that scripture, it said to keep his garment, lest you will walk naked and see your shame. So the old days, my parents used to look at the scripture and say, son, don't let the world catch you with your britches down. See? And so because don't let the world see the color of our heart, because sometimes it brings shame not only to the present but also to the future. So we realized that Dr. King had a medical term called nectophobia. Nectophobia is those who are afraid of darkness. And so when we go through the dark times of our life, we shouldn't be afraid, because darkness was the beginning of the movement of civil rights. We were living in a dark time. Dr. King talked about Negro. And so today we done advanced to African American. And I want to show you one of my and see, there's another one. And so when I got drafted in the military, and when they cut all my hair, Uncle Sam gave me this one. See, with a half an afro trying to, I've got very little hair now, this will not work, but this will work. But these are the things that we forget, because we have made this day a monument instead of a movement. See, this movement is not just for black folks. This movement for every American. It defines who we are. When we do good, the world do good. So, I'm a Vietnam veteran, and I fought a war. I'm not a Vietnam area veteran. I'm